Good evening, everybody. This is Brijesh Dalmia from Masterstroke, and today is 17th of September, 6 p.m. And today we are doing a success story on Peak Alpha, which is one of the largest in the country in the mutual fund distribution and advisory space. Welcome, Shyam. Welcome, Priya.
Thank you so much for having us, Brijesh. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. And I see the participants from all across the country. Welcome, and I hope you get something of value out of this conversation that I'm going to have with Brijesh, with Priya.
Brijesh, also wanted to let you know that I've heard about Masterstroke on several forums and conferences that I've attended the past few years. I have to tell you that I'm absolutely delighted. I was wondering, when are you ever going to invite us to speak? It's taken you this long, but I'm glad we're finally here and we are talking to the people who are participating in this forum today. It's such a pleasure and delight to be here, and really the pleasure is entirely ours.
Thank you so much. I understand this. And this is good news for Masterstroke that people are noticing us and people want to be on the program. And we are trying, every month we invite one guest. So we do 4 events myself. So in 2-3 events, I do some programs. In one of the events, I launch new features, and then we have one invitee. So initially, before the COVID, we used to have 8 sessions, but now we have came down to 4 sessions now, because a lot of people are now into working not from home. So situation has changed. So the participants will also have a reduction in terms of the total joining. So we cut it down in the terms of the total program. And so we got a little delayed to invite you, but we will make that up today. And it is in our interest in Masterstroke as well as for the members to understand your business model, to get motivated. And I want to tell the entire audience, मैं सबको ये बताना चाहता हूँ, there are few mutual fund distribution houses, companies, individuals, which I admire a lot. Peak Alpha and both of you are one of them, and it's our privilege to have you to understand your business model. And many of the distribution fraternity, because you are in Bangalore, and both of you are so humble and so down to earth and not very publicized in the mutual fund distribution industry. So I think it will be a great opportunity for all across people to know more about what you are doing. And many of them will be surprised. Some of them may not have heard about you. So let me check this out. Friends, how many of you have heard about Peak Alpha? I only need people to say yes or no. Let's see. Have you heard about Peak Alpha, and do you know that they are one of the largest in the country? Just see the response. Shyam, we need to do better on this public relations, Priya. I know you for last so many years, and just see how many people are saying no, 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 no. And you are doing such a fantastic job, which we will uncover in the next 30-40 minutes. So this is the reason you are there on Masterstroke, because we bring people, some of them are doing fantastic job like Peak Alpha, who the world is not aware of. So the one good thing is about both of you is that you are doing such fantastic work, so humbly, anonymously, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you need to be a little more present to inspire more people like you who will become tomorrow's Peak Alpha. So let's get on with this. I think 75% people on the show are saying no, and all these are active mutual fund distributors across the country. So this is
that is an eye-opener, Brijesh. So I think we need to up our game in the PR and marketing department. Certainly.
Yeah. All right, so let's get going. So my first question to you is that, Peak Alpha is a distributor or RIA or both?
So Brijesh, we are both. We are distributors and we are RIAs also. Though I have to say the major part of our business is on the distribution side. RIA is something that we had to become, because when we started Peak Alpha in 2005, we were charging a financial advisory fees right from the start. So therefore, we do not have a choice on being an RIA or not. We had to be. But we have now 2 parts of our business, the distribution part of the business as well as the advisory, which is the RIA part of the business.
All right. So as per SEBI, 1% can do one thing. So in Peak Alpha, you either of you is a distributor or RIA, or both of you are into RIA or distribution, or your team is handling RIA. How does it work?
Shyam, you want to go with this one?
essentially, the SEBI regulation requires that every client be completely separated into either an RIA or a distribution part of our business. So what happens is that we've given every client the opportunity of deciding whether they want to be an RIA customer, whereby they pay us the fees, or they're a distribution customer, whereby we receive income through commissions, but no income from there. So it is at the client level that we have done the segregation. And obviously, therefore, anyone who is an RIA is only served by the advisory division of the company. And anyone who is a distribution customer is only served by the MFD part of the company.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So would you like to share as much as you can in terms of where Peak Alpha is? When did you start? Priya said 2005. How big are you today in terms of your assets under management into distribution or RIA, your SIP book, your team size, etc.?
So we are 17 years into the business right now, and we manage assets of about 1,300 crores. We have an SIP book of over 6 crores. We have a team size of between 30 and 35. And the RIA part of the business, I think at this point of time, is mostly offered to people on a fixed fee model. But we offer both, just the planning advisory fees, as well as people who want to execute in the direct mode. But I would have to say, like I said, mentioned earlier, most of the business comes from the distribution part of the business. The RIA is mostly the planning, the advisory, where we work on a fixed fee model. So that's where we are. We service around 5,500 customers.
My goodness. So in the interest of the participants, I would like to repeat a few numbers. 5,500 clients, 1,300 crores of assets in the distribution business, which makes Peak Alpha in the top 5, top 10 MFDs in the country on an individual basis. When I say on an individual basis, it includes the boutique mutual fund distribution companies or individuals, because there are very few, only 10, 15 or 20 people beyond 1,000 crores. You have a 6 crore SIP friends. And if you appreciate these numbers, do put your comments and remarks to let the team led by Shyam and Priya, how big they are and how good they are in terms of this business. There was 6 crore SIP book. That's huge. I don't think there is any mutual fund distribution company individual in the country having 6 crore SIP book in retail or HNI business model. People have 1,500 crores of asset, but not 6 crores of SIP. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people across the industry. That's huge numbers. So congratulations, both of you. These are very, very enlightening, very big numbers, which will motivate a lot of mutual fund distributors to think how big you can grow. And just to ask you, all these numbers are from Bangalore. You have clients across the world, country, and what is the split like?
So yes, we have clients from across the country, across the world. But I would say that we are a Bangalore-based company, so most of our client base is here in Bangalore. So the way we've set up our business, Brijesh, I think right from the start, we did not want to put any barriers in terms of any geographical barriers in terms of how we acquire our customers. So the platforms that we've created for engaging with our customers are web-based platforms, and so we engage with customers from across the world, and it is not a hindrance for us whether a customer is sitting in the US or in Dubai or Singapore or in India. We are able to service them just as well based out of Bangalore.
I intentionally asked this question for the viewers to understand that most of the business for most of the mutual fund distributors come from the city they belong to. And so you can grow to 1,000 crores, 1,200 crores of business in whatever city you belong to. So as Priya said, they have customers all across the country and the world, but majority of the business comes from Bangalore. So this is the power. So if you are in any city of India, you can definitely grow to 200 to 300, 500 crores, even in a B30 kind of locations, or maybe in a 4-figure AUM book if you're in the top 10, 15 city of the country. So there are no restrictions. That's a huge number. So both of you are actively involved in the business. So how do you divide responsibilities between both of you? Is there a conflict ever arising? How do you resolve them?
So I would say that, yeah, I mean, we do divide our roles and responsibilities. So I take care of the advisory part of the business. The advisory team reports to me. I head marketing, and I also manage quality control within the company. Shyam heads technology, finance, and operations. So we have clearly demarcated roles, and we try not to step on each other's toes. In terms of conflicts, we don't have too many. We are a husband and wife team. We don't have too many conflicts at home because or at work, because I think when the goals are the same, you aspire, you have the same vision, mission, goals for the company. They don't, we don't tend to have too many conflicts around that space. But having said that, I'm happy to let him win the small battles as long as I win the big wars. Okay with that.
That was a good one. Any comment from you, Shyam, on this?
Yeah, so I think it's been an incredibly lucky journey more than anything else. And I think that comes back to us over and over again. It is fortunate that we've been able to work together, both in terms of our life as well as in terms of our business. With Priya, I don't have to worry about the intent, the ethics, any of that when we work together, because we know that that alignment is automatic. So it is just a question of finding the different spaces that we can work with. So we each work with our strengths, and so we are able to stay, I would say, without treading on each other's toes too much from that perspective. The challenge, Brijesh, I would say, is to be able to draw a line somewhere and say, okay, this is work, let's leave the work behind, and then now let's get on with the rest of our life. Because one of the challenges with working as a husband-wife team, and we've heard this from many other husband and wife teams as well, is that the work never ends. You bring your work back home 6 o'clock in the morning when we are having a cup of tea and just starting the day. Then again, we are talking about peak alpha. When the evening winds down, even then there is something at work that we have to think about. So that, I would say, is a challenge rather than a source of conflict. But we are trying to get better at it. We are trying to say that on weekends, let's not talk about work. So I think we are getting better. But that it's a good team, and I think I've been incredibly fortunate to have someone like Priya, who brings a very different skill set and facet to me. So she has, I would say, a very soft touch with the staff. She works well with them, and in that way we complement each other. I tend to be much more left brain, she tends to be much more right brain, so it's a good combination in that sense.
So since you touched upon this, Priya handles the employees softly. I wanted to ask you at the end of the session, but I want to prepone that question to you. Both of you are so soft-spoken, so humble, so down to earth, and you have a 30-35 people team. When a situation arises, when you have to take strict measures, be tough with your employees, how do you handle them? I mean, is all softly handled, or you get into a situation where you have to step up and say, nothing doing, this is not happening? Which, when I see you in your persona, I feel you cannot do it because you're so soft-spoken. How do you handle all this?
Okay, so let me attempt that question and I'll give it to Shyam. I do believe that, discipline is very important, because discipline is a bridge that connects a desire to a goal. Right? You can dream, you can desire many things, but unless you have the discipline to accomplish it, nothing really, nothing works. So, and none of our plans for the present or the future would culminate into anything meaningful if the organization lacks discipline. So what we try to do, and what we've always tried to do, Brijesh, is we try to build discipline into our regular processes, our daily processes. So we don't leave discipline as a choice for our employees. It is a part of the process of the organization. That way, you're always disciplined. For example, if there's a client meeting that needs to be set up, there's a process where we map out the regularity of the meeting that the client needs to have based on the segmentation. There's a team that will schedule the meetings. There's a target for the team to schedule that many number of meetings for the client. So that is mapped out. There's a separate team that does that. Then it comes to the advisor who's talking to the client. It's a very structured conversation. So what could otherwise be a very loose conversation, we say we got to structure it. It is a 1.5 hour meeting broken up into these various parts. How much time are you spending on each of these parts? So that we have monitored. So are you spending enough time building rapport? Are you collecting enough data to write a comprehensive report? Are you doing proper risk analysis? Are you explaining the entire plan to him? Are you, addressing his concerns, his questions? Then on top of that, we have a quality control manager who's almost like a fly on the wall, who's sitting on all those meetings. They're not on video, she's off video, but she's listening to the entire conversation, making notes and sending me the notes at the end of every meeting on how that meeting was conducted and what are the skills of the advisor, what are the drawbacks, what can be improved. So I get a detailed report on every meeting that my advisor has with the client. Then we have a process by which the report needs to be sent out in a certain number of days. So we are tracking that in terms of how many days you have. You cannot cross a certain number of days. It's flagged off to me again. So again, that's a discipline built into the process. Then again, you have a report that's sent out. Again, the report is audited. Every line is read, from the mundane to things like spelling mistakes to inconsistencies and recommendations are flagged off. Again, it's pointed out to me. Again, I'll look at it. These all are things I will bring in my Thursday meetings with my advisory team. It's all in a huge master sheet. I will discuss it with them. So the next time they don't make these mistakes. So when you build in discipline into your daily processes, you don't have to keep on enforcing it and getting behind people to do it. It becomes part of their daily routine. So when you then spend some time in the organization, this is what is required of you. You don't do it in any other way except the right way. So that's what I would say about discipline. And then I don't have to lose my temper or lose my cool or shout and scream at anybody because everybody knows what is expected. Secondly, in terms of performance appraisals, again, it's a process we follow in terms of I have my weekly connects. There's a monthly meetings where the entire team gets together. They present their activities for the month. Compare it to what our targets are for the year. Then I have half-yearly performance appraisals. I have annual performance appraisals. So we follow a structure in everything that we do so that we don't have to chase people, waste time doing things that's not required. People understand what needs to be done. So it just becomes a way of life. It's a part of life.
So again,
So,
please share.
One other thing I'd like to say in terms of discipline, and I think it's a great question you asked because it's a very interesting management and leadership challenge. One thing that is required, I believe, is that it is very important to set out what is important for you as a leader or as an organization. So that we tend to communicate very early and very frequently, saying that ethics are extremely important. And we have to be ethical in everything that we say or do. We have to take care of our customers' money. That is really the only reason why the company exists. It is the customer's goodwill that will keep us healthy and growing. Sometimes what happens is there is a potential for conflict. And conflict usually comes because there are two different interests and the interests are not aligned. Right? There may be an employee whose interest is in doing something, and then there's the organization whose interest is in doing something else. So it is important to highlight that. And there may be points in time where you believe that the employee needs to do something different from what they set out to do, or they're not doing something the way you would like. It is very important to highlight not only that that is different and it needs to be changed, but also why. I think it's important whenever you are a manager or a leader to highlight not only what you want, but why you want it. And that communication and transparency becomes extremely important. So, of course, it's been 17 years and 35 staff. So, of course, there are always going to be things where the alignment may get a little dislocated from time to time. To pull it back on track, it is very important for us to communicate very clearly what is it that we didn't like about what happened and why we want it to be different. And, whose interest are you representing as you speak that? Of course, there is the employee's interest, but then there are other stakeholders. There is potentially the customer. You have to represent the customer in those conversations and say, okay, this is what you were doing, but this is not in the customer's best interest because of A, B, and C. And as long as you have that clarity, and as long as you have the ability to communicate, and as long as you're transparent, like Priya said, more often than not, the employee will very quickly understand what does Peak Alpha want, what does the customer want, and autocorrect to that. And I would say it has been a great fortune for us over all these years that what Peak Alpha stands for, almost the entire team understands, so much so that sometimes when, we are brainstorming and we have certain ideas, there are people in the company, people in the team who will stand up and say, sir, but what you're recommending or what you're suggesting is not really what Peak Alpha stands for. We should not do this. We should do this. So I'm so proud of them at that point, because they then carry what Peak Alpha stands for. And I think that's extremely important. I think all of us should have that compass, that moral compass about what Peak Alpha is setting out to do, what customers want, and how can we deliver to that, and get aligned. And I think the misalignment causes conflict. The way to resolve that conflict is to bring that alignment back by explaining why there is that misalignment and how to bring it back.
So when speakers come on our platform, we see a regular interaction on the chat box. Today there is no interaction. And I can tell you the reason is that वो मंत्रमुग्ध है आपको सुन के. They don't have words to understand what goes behind having a 1,300 crore of assets under management, how hard it is, and what kind of processes are involved. So again, in the interest of audience, I will pick up a few words from both of you. And friends, Peak Alpha is saying they have a structured process in place. And the way Priya and Sunder, Shyam explained it, they have all in heart. So many numbers, so many process, so many things Priya said that this is what she does. And it comes so naturally to both of them. It means, in our national conference, Prakash Lohana spoke about the process, importance of process to build AUM. And he went on to become from 15 crores to 500 crores in 10 years. And here again, Peak Alpha is stressing upon the fact that sell, but processes are important. Focus on your processes. And every single thing is defined in the company of Peak Alpha, how that process has to happen. So they don't have to focus every day on employee management, because there's no scope of an employee not doing what is assigned to them. So and if you have any other takeaway, friends, please do write in the chat box in terms of how easy it is when you have processes in place, and how difficult it is to struggle to build AUM unless you have processes in place. Priya, again, then I will ask you, if you do so much on the process, do you manage clients on your own, both of you, or you just manage your team? And if you manage clients, what are the number of clients individually both of you manage?
Yes, we do manage clients, but we manage a very small percentage of our clients. Out of our nearly 5,500 clients, I manage around only 60, and Shyam even lesser at 35. This is because of a few reasons. We believe that by managing fewer clients, we are de-risking the company by not having all the client concentration with us. That is not what we want to do. Our aim is to touch as many lives as possible. And if that is our aim, is to get people to be financially independent, to improve people's lives materially, we cannot do that if all the clients are being handled by us. So it's a deliberate choice that we handle very, very few clients. I handle clients, the 60, 65 that I handle are, complicated cases. I mean, for a lot of these clients, they are women clients. I handhold them through many, many difficult transitions in their lives. So wherever I see that, it requires, me to get involved, I will get involved. And it's not that if I take on a client, I'm going to be their, advisor for the rest of their life. No, I will handle them up to a certain point of time, and I will then transition it off to another advisor in my team. So yes, from the perspective of scaling up, from the perspective of de-risking the company, ensuring there's not concentration between Shyam and I, we handle a very, very, very small percentage of our total client base. So what I would say is that, it depends on what your objective is for your organization, or if you're an individual distributor. I think if you want to be someone who has a small set of clients and you want to give them, that kind of an experience where it's a very individual, touchy-feely kind of a thing, then that's your model. But our model is, right from the beginning, we've said we want to scale. And what we are today, we want to make it much bigger. And it's not possible to do that if just the two of us are going to be handling all these clients. So it's a conscious decision. We've never sort of moved away from that. It's always going to be that. Because wonderful. I think if we focus all our time on client management, I think it will come at the cost of the growth of the organization.
When you say clients, so Shyam, you wish to say something?
Yeah. So the thing is, yes, we don't handle too many clients ourselves. We would like to see that spread, but that core set of customers and continuing to handle them is very, very important, British. It is very important for a few reasons. One, you have to stay connected with the core part of your company. Our company is in financial advice. If we get so far removed from financial advice that we don't know what is going on the ground, then it'll be a very difficult management thing. Second, I would say more than anything else, it is also a great joy for us. Some of the best times in our life in the company have come when we've been able to achieve important things for our customers. When my customer has been able to buy a home, when a customer is able to send a child abroad for higher studies, those high points we also want to get a part of, right? Obviously, you don't want to be so removed. And third is I handle, if you like, the technology part of our company. So very often, and we are a Bangalore-based company. Quite a significant part of our customers are based in Bangalore. Many of them work in the technology industry. So they set the bar very high in terms of what they expect. They spend part of their lives on Google. They spend a part of their lives on Amazon. They are used to a certain level of sophistication in technology. Peak Alpha has to try and deliver to that. So from that perspective also, a lot of the ideas in terms of what we should do going forward, whether it be as a company or as a technology platform, come from these conversations as well. So it is very important to stay connected with customers in that sense. So I don't think we will ever be in a place where hum log management ho gaye or we don't talk to customers at all. That's impossible, hard to conceive. We will continue to have a set of customers that we engage with, and we'll continue to be part of conversations with other customers as well.
Wonderful. So just to understand, when you say 5,500 clients, they are PAN or families?
So I would say there are 5,500 would be individuals, and out of these, we would say we engage very actively with about 1,000 families of this.
1,000 families. Okay, wonderful. So to summarize again this part to our members, a lot of mutual fund distributors who are also attending the program want to scale their business, and they question MasterStroke, how can they scale business and create a team? So this answer is for all of them who want to scale through a team. The moment we decide to scale through a team, you have to compromise on your direct engagement with all the clients that you have or you intend to make in the future. If a major part of your time goes into client handling, client servicing, then it will be difficult to handle and grow the team because they also will require a lot of hand holding and time. So the model which I have seen across all such boutique companies where they have a team is that the management, the founders, spend less time with the clients and more time with the team or equal time distribution rather than spending a lot of time to handle the client to grow the business. So rather than individual client building, they are building the team so that they can spread horizontally and their team can grow their business. Am I right?
That's absolutely right, Brajesh. First of all, I think it's important to stress that there is no one right model, right? So hum log ye raaste pe chale ki we want to have a team because that is, if you like, our DNA. Before starting Peak Alpha, I was a management consultant working at Accenture and Emphasis. These are companies with 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 employees. So that is where I grew up. I grew up in a setup where, of course, you have managers, of course, you have juniors. That was really the only thing I knew. So logically, when it came time to start a company, we started a company saying that on day one, we should have 5 employees. So that is a path that we took. But that is hardly necessarily the only right path. And I know some great, great individual distributors in our fraternity. They have built excellent businesses on their own where they handle everything. They handle a fewest number of customers, maybe, but they handle them so well. And, definitely that is also a path that is available. So it's a question of what you want. Like Priya said, which path do you want to take? And it's not like one path is the right path and another path is the wrong path. All paths will work depending on who you are. For us, this made sense. So we said, let us create a company and let us look to grow that company by having teams. Teams are very rewarding because you get to work with a set of people. Hum log company bolte hain, Peak Alpha Investment Services Company. So the word company has to have some meaning, right? There are a group of people who go with you on that journey. It's a very satisfying journey. But of course, there are wonderful individual financial advisors. They have built excellent practices. If that is the right answer, then that can be a very rewarding journey as well.
Yes. So So and there are distributors on their own, for example, to quote Sadashiv Fene is one-man army and he handles almost 800,000 crores in Bombay, one single person. And he collects the application form, deposits it, does all the transactions. So there's no right, wrong model. The point is, if any mutual fund distributor wants to develop a team, then alongside he cannot spend 7 hours a day when managing his or her own clients. So you have to sacrifice a part of that pie to build the team. And if sacrifice is not the right word, you have to split your time between managing your right set of clients and to manage the team. You cannot do both simultaneously, effectively, without losing out on one part of the business, because your team will need motivation, training, systems, process, structures, everything in place where you have to set it up right.
So if I was to give you a quick sense, Brijesh, in terms of what my diary looks like, and then Priya can also say that.
Yeah, interesting.
About, if I say there are 100 units of time that are available to me in every week, typically I would say that 60% of that goes in team meetings with various teams in the company, right? Sometimes it is the advisory team, sometimes it's the marketing team, sometimes it's the technology team, sometimes the operations team. So HR, finance, so all of these things, about 60% of my time goes in those, right? And then about 40% of my time goes in client meetings. And then about 20-30% of my time goes in my own downtime where I can sit down and write. So obviously the answer adds up to more than 130. So, that is kind of par for the course. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, and we try and squeeze that time out. But, you're absolutely right. If you want to create a company, then managing, administering, running the company becomes a very important part of that. You have to be there, making sure that every team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So management does take away a good chunk of time. Priya, what's it like for you?
See, a large part of my time, because the entire advisory team reports to me, there's a lot of time that I spend with that team. Because if you're handling, let's say, 1,000 families, right? And there are nearly about 250, 350 reviews that happen every month. And across that many reviews that happen, like I mentioned earlier, there are issues that happen with customers, the reports that need to be rewritten. There are some calculations that may not be right. We work through all of them. There's training also that we do. So I think I would say perhaps 60% is also a right answer for me, that 60% of my time is spent with my advisors. But it is spent with my advisors in training, directing them, making sure they do their jobs well. I think it's about 40% of my time is spent on my own clients. But yes, marketing, taking care of my advisory team, and the quality control, which is a function which I mentioned earlier, which is really auditing every single report or every single meeting of the advisor, is also important for me, because it all comes together as part of, are you providing, this is the core of our business, are you giving the right advice to our customers? Are the executions happening on time? Are you leading them along the path of, making sure that, all their cherished dreams are coming true? So this is core to our business, and a lot of my time goes in making sure that we deliver to this core business in the best possible manner. So yes, managing the team is a very, very big part of what I do, and they managing their customers is ultimately, also part of what I do. So even though I have my own specific set of customers, ultimately their set of customers becomes mine, because all the issues that come up with them sort of sits on my plate. Yeah.
Wonderful. So friends, if you're looking to develop a team, here is the recipe. You have to spend 50-60% of your time to develop the team. Both Priya and Shyam are doing that. And systems and processes are important. There are a lot of questions which I will take once I am done with my questions, because I think I will not be able to finish my questions, because the way the discussion is going, I'm writing down a few more points in terms of what I want to ask you. So Priya, would you like to share some of your engagements? Because I understand that you work with a lot of women clients, especially special situation clients. Would you like to say something on this?
Yes. So I do believe that, a woman is truly empowered when she's financially empowered. So, unlike the previous generation where, the men folk manage money in the family, I think a woman today cannot absolve herself of that responsibility, because if she does, she gets herself into a lot of trouble. So what I have noticed in all of these years is that women ultimately come to us at the time where it's really, there's some big problem there, at times of distress. So there's a divorce, or there's a death of a spouse, or there's something, that is troublesome, and that's when they approach us. Whereas in every single situation, I wish they had come to us early, so they would, take more control of their finances, and give them a lot more confidence in life. Because I think managing money, having money, there's nothing wrong in managing money. Just I think they lack the confidence in doing that, and if they did that, it opens up a lot more choices for them, right? They stay in abusive relationships, they stay in jobs that they don't like, things like that. Doesn't need to happen if they were able to manage money better. So I've always felt like, if a man needs to do X amount, if he needs to invest X amount of money to reach a certain goal, a woman needs to do probably 1.25x, because of, the gender pay gap, the fact that they take so many breaks, childbirth, all of that. And, so there's like a penalty almost in terms of, staying away from the workforce. So the amount of effort that a woman needs to put in to be able to reach the same goal as a man is a lot more. And that's why this whole thrust of trying to get them engaged early on, so that you empower them and give them the tools necessary to, build their financial future also. So this has not been an easy journey. I think women, I do so many workshops for women. These are specialized workshops. We try and break down, financial concepts in a very easy to understand manner. In fact, my workshop is called Recipes of Financial Success. So it's all sort of, done with analogies of food. So it makes it easier for people to understand. But having said that, drawing them into the whole planning process is an effort. But I'm happy to say that of the total number of clients that we have, nearly 40% are women today. And it has been an uphill task, but I'm glad that we are there. And I hope we continue to make progress on these lines, because I think it's absolutely important. And it's not just important for women today, but it's important for them to set an example for the next generation, for their daughters, that, you can't be like the previous generation. You need to make them independent and financially independent in their own right. So that's what motivates me. And it's a big effort that we have in the organization to get women to be financially empowered as well.
Truly appreciate what you are doing, Priya. Moving on. So one of the things I picked up from you is that, as Shyam said, that the day you started Peak Alpha, you said, let's start with 5 people. I want to stress upon this fact that many distributors, even when they reach 100 crores, they have 1 employee or maybe 2 employees. And they are always challenged how to hire, whether to hire or not. If everything is now technology oriented, why should they hire? So, Shyam, would you like to comment on this? When and how and why you should hire a team into back office? Forget about the sales team, but we're just talking about the back office.
Yeah, so there are many organizations already that use a team to handle the back office. And that is, I think, the first step, because that itself is very liberating. You mentioned, Mr. Finney, there are many people like that who started where they say, I will do everything. Some of them then moved away from that and said, okay, clients are my baby. I will continue to handle my clients. I'll handle them personally. But there are parts of the business that I don't need to be involved in a very day-to-day basis. So they get an operations team. They say, I'm the advisor, I'm the face of the company, I will take care of client relationships, but then I will hire some people for the back office. So I think that is a logical next step in that journey. So you say, I'll start by myself, but if I want to have more time to work with my clients, then I hire 1 or 2 people into my back office who will then process the transactions, generate statements, keep the data up to date, all of that. So that, I think, is a logical next step. But then moving forward to say, there are going to be multiple advisors who will work with customers themselves. To the client, they become the face of Peak Alpha, not Priya or Shyam. They will be who Peak Alpha is. And for us, that was there from the beginning. We said right from the beginning that we need to have an advisory team, and that is how we built the journey. The common challenges that come up are in terms of control. People feel like, okay, as soon as I have a team, what will happen if the person leaves and takes away all my clients with them? That, I think, is the biggest thing that we've heard over and over again from other people. And I would say that, first of all, it is useful to know and sort of start the journey saying that people are generally good people. Not everybody is out there to, cheat you and trick you. And, over time, we've had many employees and they have been true to their word. They have done things in the best interest of the company as well. So by and large, that is true. But then the second thing you have to do is also to build up walls that will keep your clients with you. You have to give the customers an experience that is very hard for other people to replicate. Now, that experience can come partly from the quality of the advice that you give. It can come partly from the available technology for them. So they get used to a way of working with an advisor that other people might find it hard to replicate. So you have to build these barriers to exit for your customers. Not really that they will never leave, but the price of leaving becomes meaningful for them. So you have to constantly work at that. So that once you have that, okay, the advisor will have a proposition. Suppose somebody leaves to work with that customer themselves, they can have a proposition, but is the proposition going to be as well-rounded as what they were getting from Peak Alpha, where there is a execution team, there is a technology team, there is many parts of the company that really come together to deliver the entire client experience. And that becomes harder to do. And I think, therefore, it is very important to keep investing in the company and building your own capabilities and skills, whether it be a quality of advice, whether it be research, whether it be technology, whether it be operational process. These things all need to come together to give a customer an experience that one man or one woman leaving the company may find it a little hard to do. Yeah.
All right, so I have just 2-3 more questions, and then I will take some of the questions, and you can also take some questions from the chat and the Q&A. So you are both distributor as well as RIA. Most of the people who are attending this program are mutual fund distributors. I want to know your opinion, Priya and Shyam. Where do you see the future of MFDs, not RIAs, MFDs into this profession? Is it a dying profession? Will it grow? How do you see the regulators or this profession in the next 5-10 years? And you can be very frank in terms of your approach, because you're both, so that you can give a very clear, guided opinion that this is how you perceive this profession to be going forward.
I don't know if I have the right answer for this, but I'll tell you what I believe. I think it's different strokes for different folks. I think there's room for everybody. Some people like convenience, so they will work with an MFD. Right? Others may prefer transparency, and they would prefer to work with an RIA. Some people just may want direction and want to do a DIY, invest themselves. So they just need a plan. So that's what they're looking for. So I do believe that, I don't know what the future holds in store for us. This industry is such a fast-changing industry. All I know is that if the future is uncertain for us, as a company, we must be ready to face the future no matter what. So Peak Alpha wants to be prepared for the future, and hence will always keep all options open for us. Also, I do believe strongly that it is very hard for the MFD business to die down, because in a country like us, where there is such a huge gap in terms of good advice, it is not something that is going to go away easily. But like I said, it's an evolving marketplace. There are people who want different things right now, because there's so much noise and there's so much information out there, that rather than trying to predict what the future will hold in store for you, I think it's better to be ready to take on whatever comes your way.
I would slam the table, Brajesh, and say that MFDs are not going anywhere. MFDs are going to survive and thrive. First of all, you are in wonderful company, right? So if you're an individual MFD, HDFC Bank is also an MFD, right? Bajaj Capital is also an MFD. So you are in very good company. So government or SEBI will never formulate a rule that will work for small MFDs and not for the big MFDs. So basically, the biggest people in the advisory and distribution side of the business are mutual fund distributors. There are many mutual fund distributors who handle much more money than many mutual fund companies themselves. It is very important to realize the power dynamics in this business. The power dynamics in this business are very much that the mutual fund distributors hold the power. They have the clients, they have the access to the clients. There has been a whole series of regulations that have come and gone. Regulatory environment seems to be quite stable now. It is not a concern. Mutual fund distributors are here to stay. It is a 50-year, 100-year business. If you want to invite your grandchild to join your business, please do that. I'm telling you for sure that the MFD future is very bright. Priya talked about the amount of penetration, right? Today, you are selling mutual funds, but Sachin Tendulkar is also selling mutual funds. Rohit Sharma is also selling mutual funds. Tomorrow, Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan will also sell mutual funds. What is the concern? You have so many people working with you to deliver the promise of mutual funds, and yet the penetration is only 3%, 4%. Sir, 97% is much bigger than 3%. The future is extremely bright. I would say if you have any concerns, please put it aside. Know that the future is very bright. The competitive intensity is also very low. The space that is available for each one of us is very, very big. Each one of us can adopt a slightly different business model, adopt a slightly different geography, adopt a slightly different strategy. There is space for all of us, and 100 times more than that. 100 times more than that.
This is so comforting. And I think, this is the takeaway for many people joining in today, that, here is a company with 1,300 crores of assets under management in the distribution business. And the founders are saying that distribution is not going anywhere. So this is very, very comforting. Thank you so much for that. So I will now ask you my final question, and then I will take some interesting questions. Where do you see Peak Alpha in 5 years? And what is your secret sauce?
This is difficult to answer. The secret sauce is the part that is difficult to answer.
Take the 5 years, I'll take the secret sauce.
Yeah, I'll take the secret sauce, you take the 5 years, Shyam. So I believe our, a very strict adherence to a very strong code of ethics has gained us a good reputation in the market, in the industry all of these years. I think if we lose that, we lose everything. So we have zero tolerance towards mis-selling, and our clients know it, and our employees know it even better. That, I think, very simply put, in my opinion, is our secret sauce. That's what I have to say.
So I'll tell you honestly, frankly, I'll tell you this. The secret sauce of Peak Alpha is that I am an incredibly lucky man. I've played Teen Patti from time to time. I have never lost, right? So I am an incredibly lucky guy. If you think about our company, the entire assets of my company leave the office to go home every day at 6 o'clock in the evening. We hope that they all come back to work the next day. They all do. It's a miracle. They all do come back and work the next day. So in that sense, I would say it's been an incredibly lucky journey. We are a 17-year-old company. There have been people with us who could have worked at very large, big brand names. They have chosen to build their careers with us. People have left ICICI Bank and joined us, ICICI Securities and joined us. Some of our vice presidents, they have chosen to work with us despite having great options. They have chosen to work with us, and they built the company alongside Priya and me. So I would say in terms of secret sauce, it is my luck more than anything else. Or if it's not my luck, it is the quality of the team that we have. We just have a fantastic team, and I'm so proud of them. So they are the reason why we've been able to achieve whatever we've been able to achieve. That to us is our secret sauce.
Fantastic. So I'm done with my question. I had a few more, but I will take the audience question, and you also have access to the chat. And if you want to pick up anything, before you pick up anything, you can have it. I will ask you a few questions. Somebody is asking, you are in Bangalore, a city where there are techies. They know everything. They have access to Google. They actually spend 6 hours, 8 hours a day on Google. They have access to the best performing fund. They have access to direct platforms. Why they choose to come to Peak Alpha?
Sir, here's the thing, Brajesh. There is space for everybody, right? There are some people who are very evolved, who can manage their own money very well. Of course, they should go direct. It's stupid for them to come and still work with any advisor. If I can make 1.4% return, why should I make 1.25% return by going regular? If I am smart, I can take care of my own money. I can do all my transactions myself. If I can do my annual tax filings and all of that myself, direct plan was invented for you. Of course, you should go direct. But for most of my clients, they're all very smart. Right? They're very capable. Some of them run large, big companies. They are CEOs, CFOs. They have the capability, of course, to manage their portfolio. But if they have 100 units of time, where should they spend their time? So they have chosen to outsource that part of it to us. And we are ready to step up and help them with that journey, right? But I would say the biggest thing that somebody like Peak Alpha would bring to a client's journey is two things. It's not some great quality of advice. It is not that we know something about the markets that they don't. It is none of that. It is only two things. One, we bring a discipline to their lives. Matlab, every 3 months, they have to sit with us and go through their portfolio. They have to look at what is going on in their lives. They have to spend that time looking after their money. So we bring that discipline. The second thing, and perhaps even more important, is we provide them a cushion against themselves. Because very often you are your worst enemy. When the market is going very high, you get greedy and you put more and more money into it, and then it all falls, right? Or if the market is falling, you get so scared, you take all your money out of equities at absolutely the worst time. If you are doing it all yourself, we have seen, Brijesh, you know this very well, the investor gap, right? So there is a certain return that the fund gives, but there's a certain return that the fund investor gets. And the difference between that is completely behavioral. So you get panicky or you get greedy. We are there to support you in that journey by making sure when you get panicky to say, hey, don't worry. This will also turn, the markets will also go up. If it falls down, it will go back up. And looking at the quality of the people in the audience, I'm sure that every one of them understands this. This is the biggest thing that you provide to your customer by being there when they are in trouble, when they are feeling afraid, or when they are feeling greedy. So there are many things that we can talk, but at the end of the day, it is the discipline and it is the cushion against themselves. That is the biggest value add that we bring. To anybody who doesn't need that, they don't need to work with an advisor. But we are lucky that, as I was saying earlier, mutual fund penetration is only 3%. The number of people who need good advice is much larger than the number of people who can handle it themselves. To those who want to handle it themselves, I wish them best of luck. But for people who need a helping hand in this difficult journey, we are there, and all of you are there to support them.
I wish it goes on and on. But in the interest of time, I will take some questions and I will call it a rapid fire round. So you have 15 seconds, at the most 30 seconds to answer these questions, so that I can have 5, 7, 10 questions that are there. And so here is the question. Trail commissions are going down. Sukan is asking, this is a very big problem for small distributors who make a living. How to handle this and what's the future?
I think trail commissions have gone down, but I don't think they're going down much faster, much further. There is every indication that there is a certain stability to the regulatory environment. And the simplest answer, I think Mr. Nimesh Shah at the recent conference put it very beautifully, is that the amount of money that you make on one unit that you have may go down, but the opportunity for you to make that one unit 10 units is very much there.
Volume.
Right? So increase your volume to counter the margin erosion. Of course, there is going to be margin erosion as you grow. But as you grow, you're also having the ability to reach many more people. So I don't think you need to be worried too much about margin erosion. So to the extent that there has been margin erosion, we all know, we've all felt the pain, but I think that pain is mostly over. SEBI has given a very clear chart saying, if you are a fund between so and so and so and so in AUM, this is what you can charge. If it is so and so and so and so between, and that is what you can charge, and so on. That slab structure has been clearly communicated. Now, that is something that will last us for several years, 10, 15 years at least. So please don't worry too much further about margin erosion. I think let us learn about how to operate a business profitably and give a good value proposition to customer with the amount of money that can come. And every point of margin that you lose, make sure you compensate it by getting 2 points in terms of volume. Because it's out there, the space is there. If you just reach out and work a little bit harder, you will be able to expand the pie of number of customers, the size of assets that you manage.
Next is Prem Tiwari is asking, what different technology you are using for managing Peak Alpha? For example, softwares, or for example, which software you use and which platform you use for transaction and any other technology that you use.
So 2 different technologies, broadly speaking, that we use. One technology is the technology that is available to us for transaction processing, which is the National Stock Exchange platform. That is not the only one. You have BSE, you have MFU, but we are very happy with being able to transact with NSE. And it has been a real godsend for us in terms of how to go through the pandemic when everybody is working from home, right? The second part of it is our advisory technology. So that is something that over the past 17 years, we've built completely in-house. It is our proprietary platform and it's called Peak Planner. That is what we use to provide our advice to our customers.
Bhavin is asking, what one book you can name up to 3, which influenced you the most for both Shyam and Priya?
A book, is that what the question is?
Yes.
I have to say that this is on my desk right now, Laws of Wealth. It's by Daniel Crosby. I just finished reading this. But it talks a lot about behavioral finance, which is what Shyam was mentioning. And so much of our work that we do is based on just managing client behavior that I found is extremely useful in my conversations with my clients. So if you haven't read this book, please do read it. It's called Laws of Wealth. The psychology.
So while I ask you the
to
next question, if you can write the author name and the name of the book in the chat box, people will copy that and note down. So the next is a very interesting suggestion and request from Supriya Jha. And if I'm not mistaken, she's from Nagpur. Priya ma'am, would you like to help female MFDs like me to prepare a training program for women clients? What should be the main topics, content, etc.? I think, Priya, you should do this in the interest of the mutual fund fraternity, that you can do sessions. And one thing that comes to my mind is that we have so many members and we can spread this message and we can give you the masterstroke platform that only female MFDs will join, where Priya can probably teach them and handhold them how to grow this business. What's your take, Priya?
I'd love to do that because I do believe that there is some training involved, not just in how you talk to women clients. There is some training involved even among, for example, we have women advisors, right? So I train women advisors in how to speak to women clients. What are the concerns that most women clients have? What are the questions that you must ask them? How do you counsel them? So there are so many things. For example, if I know the profile of a woman client, I probably will not put a male advisor there. I will train my woman advisor on how to manage that client. And it's a very, very different kind of a training. Because for women, I think, you just go far beyond just being a financial advisor for them. You become almost like one life coach or financial coach for them. And and in terms of loyalty to the company and, in sticking through with the plan, goals, everything, I think they tend to, be far better than men because they don't get swayed by short-term returns. They're not, looking at, sort of optimizing returns all the time, come out of this, get into that. I think if the goal ahead is clear and the plan is laid out clearly, the roadmap is out there, they tend to stick to it. So it's also not just about how you speak to women prospects, it's also about how you train your women advisors and how to be the best advisor that you can be to women clients. So there's 2 parts to this, and I'm happy to talk to
and you can't
women
escape that because Nina Aluwalia, Sujata, Supriya, all are saying that they are in it, and probably I will speak to you later on this, how we can engage on this, and I think this will be a good thing for the mutual fund fraternity. One question is coming out: any quick advice for newcomer who has joined this business? What should they do in the first year of their joining as an MFD?
So I think it's important for you to get clarity. I think it's worth spending some time right at the beginning to get some clarity about what kind of service and company do you want to build? Who is your target audience? And what is the best way to reach them? The learning that we have, I think, after 17 years is that if I was to go back 17 years and do it again, perhaps the questions that we would ask ourselves is, can we be a little more clear about what is the customer segment that we want to target? When you start a company, you want to be everything for everybody, right? That is your natural inclination. You don't want to say no to anything. If somebody comes to you and says, I want to be your customer, you are rolling out the red carpet saying, please come, welcome, right? But if I had a chance to do it again, I think what I would do is to spend a little bit more time being very clear about what it is that our skill sets are, what are our capabilities, and to which customer segment does that fit the best. And also, one thing that we did, which worked really well for us that maybe is worth sharing is something that Priya talked about. Almost for the first 7 or 8 years of our company, The way we grew is by conducting investor sessions in various companies. So a lot of the technology companies in Bangalore welcomed us to come and talk to their employees to help them think about how to manage their money. That became a target audience for us in terms of prospects, many of them who then subsequently became our customers. So I know, there are many people who have carved out similar niches. Some people say, I want to work with the servicemen and servicewomen. That is a terrific model. There is a natural market that you can look at, to the extent that you can clearly identify that, whether it be doctors, whether it be certain professionals, whether it be lawyers. If you can identify a certain group, that is a very good way to start, because then your marketing is also very clear. Your communication to them is also very clear. So identify that sector that is the easiest for you and get started with that, right? It may be counterintuitive for you to initially say no to any business, but if you get a customer who doesn't fit with what your strengths are, what your capabilities are, it is possible that that journey may become not so pleasant down the line, right? So identify what you can do best and play on the front foot, play to your strengths.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Shyam and Priya. And friends, if you like the session, do please give your feedback and some thoughts and appreciation to Peak Alpha team in the chat box. We will appreciate your feedback, and also some motivation and encouragement that will help us keep doing such programs. And I think my personal takeaways were a lot from doing this program with you guys, and I'm personally enriched with your answers, and it's so meaningful. So with such deep humility you have been answering. And one comment I had in the chat box is that both of them are so cool and calm, and people notice. And I have been noticing that for 15 years. So that is a very good compliment for both of you and Peak Alpha. And appreciation is coming right there in the chat box. I hope you enjoyed the session as well as we
If I could just wrap by saying, Brajesh, that it is so humbling to read such kind words from all of you about us. I will still say that, we were extremely lucky to come down this journey. It is good fortune that has helped us in large part. I want to thank you for all of your kind words and wish you, each and every one of you, the very best. To the extent that I've been able to convince you that the future is very bright, please be charged up about what the future holds for each one of you. Customers need you. They need your service. They need your advice. As long as you're there for them, you will be able to grow by word of mouth, referrals. The opportunity is huge. The opportunity is really huge. I wish each and every one of you the very best.
Thank you so much. Any final words from you, Priya?
I couldn't have said it better than Shyam. All I will say is that we didn't expect to have such a large client base. I think when we started the business in 2005, we were coming from very different industries. Shyam was a management strategy consultant. I worked for a corporate law firm. So we didn't have any experience in this business. So we started really from scratch. The only thing that we had going for us is a vision that we wanted to create a company that was ethical, objective, and would do right by its customers. And the second thing that we had in mind is that we would try and get customers by the busload. So we were always thinking about how to get customers by the busload and not incrementally. So if you think like that, I keep telling my team this: don't think linearly, think exponentially. Because if your goal is 10x, even if you reach 5x or 2x, it's still okay, but you aim for 10x. So never keep your goals at this level, keep it at that level. So even if you go halfway through, you'd still do very well. So my sense is that today we have customers of 5,000. I was speaking at the MFRT conference a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, why can't we be 50,000? So that's what we are gunning for right now. And it's for your taking. It's out there. The market is out there. There is no dearth of demand. There is supply. You just have to go out there and grab it. And we are doing it, and so can all of you.
Thank you so much. This is so enlightening and so very well. Thank you so much for your time. We extended it, and I'm so sorry for extending 10-15 minutes more than I asked you for, but I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I do. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you so much for having us. It was such a pleasure being here.